there waiting, wondering like where I was at. Yes. Hello, Dr. Samuel Lombardo here, live on YouTube finally tonight. I hope that those of you that are watching will watch. I'm going to go ahead and wait for the full Zoom to download, and then I'm going to go ahead and upload as a premiere show because I'm almost done. But in any case, I am now live on YouTube, and what we were actually talking about was the silent ideas, thinking silently and acting in a positive way. So it is the introduction to my actual book that I am writing, or I have finished writing. Actually, I'm getting ready to put it into production in August. And it's called A Journey Through Our Perception Changed Reality Format. Basically, it's basically kind of for business owners, but it also fits into personal life as well, because I actually tackle both the business end of things as well as the personal end of things, like personal and professional. So if this is something that you are interested in wanting to know more about, our next 20 segment of SLMTA's prime time will be based off of these topics. Now, I will be honest, some of these topics are not going to be easy, folks. Okay, and some of them might even put you in tears, flat out tears. And the reason is because what this book is supposed to do is the same thing that a real business consultant would do for you. He or she would alarm you into what your spiritual situation is, as well as your personal life, going into your professional life, because they all actually wrap around one loop. So if you are half fast in your spiritual life, but your emotional life is stuck in fear energy, and you're trying to make a relationship happen, you can find yourself into trouble, because you're going to be attracting those who are in that particular moment. But once you start aligning yourself to the point that you're not in fear energy, you're going to actually start seeing other people, the law of attraction again, okay, coming in, other people starting to filter into your life. Some people, and these are the ones that are actually, that scare me. Some people, and I'm speaking generally, I'm not judging people. I want to let you know these upcoming videos is not going to be in any way judgmental, but they are going to really touch at the heart of many situations that you may have. Because the goal with this book is actually to alert you of the many different things that are actually happening, and why you're attracting, why you are being stuck in where you are, what you need to do to get out of the stuck position. Okay. Why is it that you can't keep a job longer than 6 months? All right. Is there some reason for that? Why is it that, we'll put it to you this way. We'll give a very good example. Why is it that when you start at college, you were like, say, a C average, but then all of a sudden, after doing a lot of studying and dedication, you realized that you could get an A. Why is it, and this is something that I'm learning now, why is it that you cannot control when you eat, how you eat, and where your weight sits at, and where you were doing good, and then you're picking up the pounds again? Now, I know that this, for some of you, you might look at it and say, I'm judging you, but the reality is there's some kind of psychological misperception about what these issues are. That's why I had to introduce some of the tone of my psychology of the creative innovation. Why? Because that book explains the excuses, and I needed you to understand what the excuses were so that you would understand where I'm actually coming from, because I used those terms in this book, but I never explained them in the book. So now I'm actually trying to edit that in there. Okay, that way then there's not going to be any confusion like, oh, what's a judgment excuse? You know, a judgmental excuse. A judgmental excuse is not something where you're judging somebody as an excuse to stop them from doing something. No, it's actually your excuse that stops you from doing what you need to do. But the thing is you'd rather judge somebody else and claim that excuse and say it was their fault. That's what a judgmental excuse is. All right. So the reality is, any path that you are living, you are in control of. But as soon as you start pointing the finger at him or her and them and that, then you went into a whole nother level. So I know that I told you about the ultimate prize. I opened up and said the ultimate prize, but in order for you to understand how to figure out your ultimate prize, you have to figure out the first step to a successful journey in your changed reality. And that is to think, okay, think silently and act positively. Why? Because without seeing this happen, without this being your, without you realizing your journey in your life, you are not going to grow in the way you are stopping yourself from the growth, and you are allowing others to participate and to own up your life. You don't want to be swallowed up into that. See, a real relationship with any individual, whether it's professional, personal, emotional, or romantic, is that on a natural level, they are able to allow you the growth. And they do not have to fear, again, fear energy. They do not have to fear that they have to be substituted from life in order to actually make that fit. No, they already know that they fit, and therefore they can allow the growth of everything else to basically make its way in. Instead of it being a revolving door, it's an open door. You don't have to sit there and roll with it. You don't even have to even pivot to it. You would walk right into it. Because a true breakthrough, folks, is this. The true breakthrough is when you are freely able to walk straight through it. It's your ultimate prize. You're aiming straight at it. You don't have to go anywhere like this. You don't have to turn it there. You don't have to roll into it. You don't have to slide into it. You don't have to do nothing. Just keep going straight at it. That's your ultimate reward. That is when you know that you are following the natural pretenses of your life. That is when you know that you are aligned with God, Jesus, source, your chakras are straight, or whatever you want to call this. That's when you know that you are basically at the right job or starting the right business, or that you found your niche, or that this belongs to you, or that belongs to you, or that why someone's stealing from you versus they wouldn't steal from you, that you're in the right location. Why? Because you've walked straight into it and it fits perfectly in your life. I can only say amen and thank you, God, for allowing both the obstacles, also the detours, because my God, we don't know what would have been past that detour if we ignored that sign. We wouldn't know. Everything, folks. Could it be that God is stopping us from a specific thing, holding things back from us to try to save us from something? Could it be that certain things are being held back, or God is changing routines and things to basically show us a lesson? It could be that. See, here's how you know the difference between God giving you a lesson and God actually giving you a detour. A detour still freely allows you to go where you are headed. A test comes with the challenges. There is literally nothing to even say but that. That is a true difference. So accept the challenge. Say, challenge accepted, just like that, like how they do on Living Maddie on a Disney Channel. And when you accept the challenge and you're like, you know what, I don't even care. Go ahead, give me every challenge you got. Because the point that I am going to tell you right now, that once the heart stops beating and that door finally closes for you, you end up in a whole nother level of life. And that is when Jesus comes and you're either following what is right or you're following what was wrong. It's just going to determine how you live your life. So I'm not here. I cannot tell you how you're living your life. I'm not going to tell you how you're living your life. But there are 20 ways that you can see the perception and make the changes to your reality for a more positive experience in your life. And that is exactly what a journey through our perception changed reality format book is about. Let me also explain something else to you as well. In my personal experience, since we're on this topic about parallelism and alignment, in my life, I've had experiences where I was trying to fit people into positions of businesses that technically right now I don't even have. Oh yeah, you're gonna hear more about this as I go into this book, because it was really that book was actually derived from that experience. It was the biggest experience, and yet I still see a beautiful ending to it. Right now, the ending to me seems as if this person literally only sees the negative side of me and does not even know if I made a change or not, because their fear about who I am has translated into their whatever perception they had. And really and truly, their intentional perception has created an embarkment of thoughts reality about what could happen. And this person's losing so many opportunities as we speak today. See, I took the idea of remembering who the person was and realized that this person maybe didn't technically live in the love energy that I thought. Because I don't technically judge anybody anyway for anything. I'm already assuming that everybody is in love energy, and I allow them to speak loudly. Why? Because the person that's speaking loudly is going to help me figure out if what I was thinking silently is confirmed or affirmed. I was even able to affirm a person's judgment towards me by actually proving that I was in a situation that I actually really wasn't in, meaning that I would tell one person that I was interested in a person, while telling that same person that I would tell that person that I was interested in that, yeah, that is true, but it wasn't like that. And then it would turn into this revolving story of what we call just fake realities and a bunch of a blunder perception. And that situation has derived me into creating this book for many years, because I was trying to figure out in my life why I even allowed it to happen. And I still have this question, and I say it out loud every time. Is this person going to continue to only believe that I am this bad person that is out there? And I believe that God left that door open. That's not even a closed door, folks. As funny as that may sound, it's not a closed door, because you want to know why? First of all, it's a situation that had no closure. That's number one. Number two, nothing was actually broken. It stopped. In other words, he would have created a stumbling block right there. So all I'm doing is going around the long way to go to the other side of where he's standing. But in reality, in front of whatever's there are detours. So there's some stuff in his life that needs to be changed and rectified before that parallelism with me would ever work. So with that being said, the only way that that question will be answered is if you realize that we became friends again. That this actually became a reality. Like, this isn't a wishful list of a dream. Some people will think that, and probably even including him himself, would probably think that this is just a wishful dream. Yeah, keep on guessing and thinking and dreaming it. But the reality is that most of the time when you have a situation, there are things that are left open and there are things that are then closed. How do you know the difference between things that are closed and left open? Now, you could force, like I said, you could force karma to happen. You could say, you need to cease and desist of emailing me, messaging me, and doing this and doing that, and blah, 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 right? You could do all that stuff. That doesn't really stop what the universe has. That's just you acting out on potentially against what is being aligned. Now, obviously, the whole entire thing was misaligned, okay? I knew that there was no reality of me being with a particular person or whatever. I'm not going to mention who or whatnot. In fact, I don't even mention the name in the book, okay? But I do explain the situation. I have a situation right now where I'm speaking with someone who I spoke with on and off for 4 years straight, even while I was in and out of relationships periodically for the 4 years. But I would have never assumed or thought that someone like me actually would deserve someone like that person. And still to this day, I'm still trying to figure that out. And at the same time, I'm also realizing, but it's not a closed book. I'm realizing that there are some hardships that are happening that God still is finishing up in this person's life. And so I have to, as far as this part of my life is concerned, I have to actually wait. That's going to be our next topic. Our next topic is step number 2. Waiting with persistence. Sometimes we want to act out, like right now is the time, right? We want to do it right now. And then God says, hold up, wait a minute. It will come. It will come. I'm telling you that it will. Don't you see the hints? That, and sometimes I laugh at God. I'm like, the hints, really? Like, can you help? Can you explain to me what these hints are? Because right now I got to give you a big hint. I'm lost. How do you get lost waiting? You can't. unless you're moving without time. And then you find out you're stuck in a box or in a corner somewhere. Persistence. What am I talking about there? This is actually going to be the last topic that we'll talk about tonight in relations to definition. But our second step is waiting and persistence. So what is persistence? The act or fact of persisting, the quality of being persistent, continued existence or occurrence, the continuance of an effect after its cause is removed. Now, do you think that I'm just sitting here pretending that I think that somebody will come back into my life and it's just been a pipe dream for all these years? So you actually think that that is what's happening? How do you know the difference between a closed book and an open one? Let me help you figure that out. Sometimes we'll use the relationships. In a relationship, when you are married, the female or the male, whoever is initiating it, says, I want a divorce. We know that that is pretty much closed, right? Now, on rare occasion, even that is not technically a closed book. Why? Because while you may want a divorce, the judge can actually make the judgment and say, okay, they may require counseling to see if it actually works out. They may require you to separate for some time, and if it still doesn't work out, then it's cut. I've seen where people would be forever separated, and then they finally realized it was better that they were left alone. Whereas some were separated for a good length of time. They waited it out with persistence, and actually it came back. And the marriage was just as good then than it was in the beginning. And then we saw the whole counseling thing. Counseling probably got as far as realizing that they basically wasn't for each other to begin with. But here's the real question. When you're waiting and persistent, or with persistence, right? You basically know that you have a goal in mind. Understand that I said that you have a goal in mind. You're going to have a plan. You're going to have a purpose, but does it necessarily mean, and sometimes you got to understand that you may think that God puts you in that purpose and plan, and you might still actually have it wrong. So be careful of the deception and walk straight into that path. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? And this is the problem that every human faces every single day with any choice. Now, of course, the bottom line is that you want to pray. That is our third step. Pray without ceasing. But does praying without ceasing mean that you don't do nothing about it? Here we go back to the thing that I brought up in my textbook. Are you the couch potato waiting for the potatoes to fall on your lap? Or are you going to get up and go pick your own potatoes? Or are you expecting somebody else to get the potatoes for you? Believe me, I've been there and done that. I will be honest, that was me at one point. Yes, it was. You're going to run into that situation where you're expecting somebody to pick the potatoes for you. Believe me when I say it. Or that you're going to be hiring potato pickers. What do I mean by that? Well, here I could use a business example. When you're hiring someone to pick potatoes for you, what you're saying is that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. This is how I run my business. But I need you to do this, and your worth is going to be what you pay, what I pay you. So in other words, what you're saying is, I'm not going to pay you nothing unless you can show me what you're worth. That's what it means to hire potato pickers. Now, do you want to be a potato picker? Do you want to sit there and pick someone else's potatoes? Or do you want to be the one to plant the seeds and know what potatoes you are growing and know that you can grow in the same length and the possibility as a potato patch? That's what I'm talking about. All right. Waiting and persistence and praying without ceasing. Now that is step number one to the waiting with persistence. Step number two with waiting with persistence is to basically pivot in action. Now, the reason that I have mentioned this in the book is that, and it's a little bit contrary to the first thing that I've mentioned, which is to think silently and act positively. Because basically, when you are pivoting into action, what it means is that you're taking some kind of an action. You know you got a purpose in life. You're going to do what you're going to do. You might stumble. You might fall. And that is going to be normal in life. But that doesn't mean that you sit there and wait for it to come. See, what are you praying for if you do nothing? Okay, now, yeah, I might be yelling at you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like I'm yelling at you. But this is what the Father in heaven would be saying. What do you want me to do if you're just sitting there waiting? That's why we say waiting and persistence, and then you are going to pivot in action. They work together, not one or the other. They both work together. Interesting, you say. If you're not fully aligned, what is the worst case scenario? It didn't work. But that doesn't mean that you give up. There is nothing in this book that is going to tell you that you should give up. Because here's the thing. Because your wheels on your vehicle are not aligned, you're going to trash the whole car. You know, I've seen this before, believe me. There was somebody that had a dent in the vehicle. They didn't like the dent where it was, and there was broken glass in the front. And they said it looked like crap. I don't want it. It just wasn't worth it. Okay, so if it wasn't worth it, what is the worth? What are you thinking is the worth? So now you're going to go out there and you're going to put yourself in $30,000 worth of debt to get another vehicle because of your front windshield has a crack in it. It almost sounds like all you really need to do is ask somebody like satellite lights or window, some place that could put the front windshield in for you. Is almost what it sounds like. Like, do you really need a whole nother car? Now, I can understand if it's the motor. Okay, if the motor falls out, the transmission's dragging on the ground and all this kind of stuff, I could see that. But because your left wheel seems to turn off to the side, that's because you don't have the right alignment. You need to get that vehicle and get that thing in alignment. You think you're saving money by skipping on an alignment and letting somebody else buy that vehicle? And then you're going to go get another one? Oh, no, you're not. You're not saving no money doing that. I hear someone tell me all the time, I try to save every single day. And for some reason, all I can have in my savings account by the end of the month is $10. First of all, congratulations if that is true. Okay. That tells me that you're trying at least. So that is where you're waiting in persistence. That's an example of waiting in persistence. That is also an example of you pivoting into action. Because if you didn't have nothing to save, you would be saying, look, I tried to save and I had nothing in my account. But because you had $10, it's a start, right? Okay, now let me tell you another thing. You might not be able to get that brand new dress that you wanted with the diamonds hanging all the way down to the floor and the nice diamond, necklace with that big pearled ring around your finger and all these beautiful gadgets hanging from your arm that where they could drag you down to the floor or whatever. Excuse me, you might not have the money to get that. But you got started. $10 is better than nothing. Now, here is another example. That's what you want, but God's like, okay, I'm going to use your own guilt for my pleasure. That happens sometimes, believe me when I say it. I'm going to use your guilt for my own pleasure. And believe me, he loves to do that with Lucifer. Why do you think this pandemic is going to go out with a bombshell and there's going to end up being a breakthrough? I believe it's like one of the last times God is sealing up his people. But I also believe that there is going to be a breakthrough coming through with all of this. Now, let me explain to you something. Satan might have wanted to kill a lot of people, and he might have did what he wanted to do. But God said, you know what? I tell you what. You can do what you think you want to do, but they may actually be my servants. Their souls will be sealed up for the kingdom of heaven. And then what? See how God uses the guilt for his own pleasure? Boy, I love God. God loves us. I hope you can believe that. At the very least, I hope you can believe that. But even more importantly, going in even deeper to your life, you might be sitting there trying to save for all these gadgets. And then you start wondering, man, I need that new car. My transmission just blew out last week. And the $6,000 that you saved up to get pearl necklaces and diamond earrings and all these beautiful gadgets and that beautiful gown and all that. Now you have a decision to make. See, God's saying, here's your opportunity. You got a brand new car. Yeah, I mean, you can get your car, or you can do this. Now, I will tell you what 9 times out of 10 what would happen, because I've had these experiences. I would turn around and try to say, okay, I will just settle for the diamond ring. Then I try to get the diamond ring, and then after I get the diamond ring, then I try to get the car. And then I find out that I just blew it by $1,500 being able to have a down payment for the vehicle, because it costs it more than I thought it was going to be for a diamond ring. Well, isn't it not ironic that now some of you will actually sit there and complain, oh, now I have to get a car after I just saved $6,000? So now I have to get a car? Come on, you gotta be kidding me, right? Believe me, there's some of you out there that know what I'm talking about. I'm not pulling any strings or blowing smoke up anybody. Well, what do you do? Are you going to be stubborn and say, nope, I'm going to get that diamond ring and that dress and all that stuff? Or are you going to go and do what God asks you to do? Now, understand that God is the ultimate choice, regardless if you think that you follow him or not. The fortunate thing for me anyway, I don't know how you want to put it, it's fortunate or unfortunate for you, but fortunately for me, I know that God is in control of my life, but is also in control of all of us in this earth. So if anybody has control of anything, It is God. And it don't matter how you want to put it. I don't care if you believe that it's karma, if it's Lucifer, if it's Ariel, or if it's some other angel. I don't care what you may think it may be. Ultimately, bottom line, God is in control. So what would the decision be? It doesn't take much to realize what the actual consequences could be. Now, you might even get a positive consequence because I've seen the miracles happen. In fact, a few of them did. I've seen, using this example, that if I'd chosen to get the car, I would have had just enough money for the dress, for the diamond ring, for those pearl earrings and bracelets. Why? Because it wasn't exactly as expensive as I thought it was going to be. But if I was going to go listen straight from the devil's womb, then I probably would have been stuck where I was spending $5,000 for a diamond ring and not realizing that I just went $3,000 over my budget for something that I would have needed. I don't know. Does that make sense? Then there are some of you that are actually comfortable where you're at. Oh no, I could spend $5,000. You know, here, the diamond ring. Here you go. And then next thing you know, it's like you're watching the bank account just going, rolling on down, right? Then the car comes up. And you're like, oh, holy crap. No, wait a minute. No. That's when you know that you were stuck in a lesson versus someone taking advantage of you. Because what that means is ultimately, you know, the person's going to have to pay you back, but you also realize now that you cannot be too comfortable. You see where I'm getting at? See the difference there? Whereas if it was a closed book, it would just be that the person took money from you and then just ran off the face of the earth. It didn't matter how you would look for them or how you would find them. It wouldn't matter. It would not matter where you thought the last minute you thought they were going to be at, or if you thought it was going to be something else. They were not going to be there. You would have been wasting more time and money looking for the person than to just realize that that person had left you empty-handed. Nine times out of 10, too, I don't want to say that. 9 times out of 10, this also means who your friends are and who they're not. And your decision level of where your trust factors are. We will talk about that in the next part. So there are 3 areas that we have spoken about tonight out of the 20. Okay. And that is thinking in silence and acting in positive. And then number 2, is actually, well, there's actually 4 that we talked about tonight. I forgot about that already. Number 2 is actually waiting with persistence. Okay, praying without ceasing is number 3, and number 4 is, ooh, it's like some ugly thing going on there with the screen. And number 4, after praying without ceasing, number 4 is basically pivoting in action. Okay, we'll be doing 5 through 7, excuse me, tomorrow afternoon in our SLMTA at actual prime time. If you have any questions about this video, you can definitely put that in the comment sections down below, and I'll answer them in the next video. All right, I will be on at prime time tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 2 p.m. Well, I'm going to do a premiere of this video once it's uploaded onto my computer. For those who have missed the literally the whole entire, what is it, first hour and a half or so of the whole entire show, because I thought that I was already signed into YouTube and wasn't. If you have not subscribed, please do so at SL Models and Talent Agency LLC. That is the gold icon with the red ring around it. And then hit the notification bell, okay? So that you will be notified when we come back on live. If you want to become a member to the SLMTA community, you can do so at www.patreon.com/SLMTA. You can follow us on Twitch as well. That is twitch.tv/SLMTA. Follow us on Twitter at ModelsSL. And then Instagram, SLMTA_models. One thing that you have noticed is that in the consistency of SLMTA, you will always notice that there is not one thing that I had not said that did not have the acronyms in it. Our website is www.slmta-agency.com. Okay. So remember, business folks, that you want to keep everything persistent, and you also want to be a little bit professional as well, especially in the entertainment world. In the entertainment industry, they will, it is truthful. I hate to say it this way. They will judge you on the basis of what a real logo is versus just something sitting in a box that basically just blocks up space. I mean, it's crazy. And then if the pictures are faded and they just look like something that came from a stockpile or whatever the case is, I mean, that's why even our website, we are creating our website with actual pictures, and we want to put some of our models throughout the actual website. So to answer that question, also, if you hadn't viewed any of the videos prior to this, yes, some of them are challenging. Some of them talk about the talent agencies, while the others talk about the models. I basically come out with the truth, and I talk a lot of difficult topics. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. It's not an easy thing, but somebody has to come out to the open and explain what is really going on. And the unfortunate thing is that, it's not that I own up to it. Some folks don't like the idea that I'm laying it out in the open. Like, for example, harassment and things that happen with model, so that should be out in the open. First of all, it's disgusting. It's unfair. It's not right for the individual. And therefore, if you're going to run your business that way, and then you'd rather just shut me up because it makes it better for you, then what that tells me is where this industry is headed. That's what it really tells me. It's not a judgment call, folks. It's your decision. This is what you're thinking, what your decision is about what you feel is appropriate. And if you think that making people do things that they are uncomfortable in doing is the right thing to do, and it's easier to just shut me up, then there's problems. So I literally do talk about a lot of difficult topics that some individuals do not like talking about, or they fear that they're going to be tossed around the industry because you're kind of hinting on specific clients or what have you. But again, that is still a situation that no matter what they do, it still causes a problem. What do I mean by that? Your decision to block somebody from a job because they are being harassed tells me that you also are being discriminative, which is just as bad as the problem that they brought up. So if they didn't like what you were doing and you can't change it, and the only thing that you can do is get people that would like what you're doing, then the question would be, how many out there actually like it? If you're comfortable in being harassed, bullied, or whatever in the entertainment industry, I'd like you to actually comment that you are very comfortable with that. You're comfortable with being forced in situations that you don't want to be in. You're forced into making decisions that that are not necessary. You're forced into doing some actions that you don't do on a normal basis, whatever the case may be. Now, mind you, when I say that, there are some that don't do it, and then there are some that actually do it. So to them, it's a natural thing. Well, you know where they're at. I'm not going to say it here because of if kids are here. But that's why you need to make a decision for yourself about what role people are going to be playing, what models you are looking for, and that kind of situation. Now, SLMTA, we're looking for all models, okay? And except for we don't deal with real bad stuff. Okay, and if you want to know what real bad stuff is, just message me, and I will tell you in case the children does come across, this recording. But real bad stuff. But we do allow, like there's the illusionary art. We do have some folks that are comfortable where they will do that. And kind of like the Adam and Eve scenario. Okay, it's called illusionary art. And then you have, and then of course, now the type of lingerie, okay, would actually end up being, and again, they actually get paid more. It don't matter if they are experienced or not. They all end up getting paid $3,000 at minimum with SLMTA for this. That means that before we even talk about negotiating, if you're talking about anything, even if it happens in a scene, it's $3,000 because of the particulars about it. And, you know, there are certain reasons behind that. And so, but like swimsuits and things like that, we don't really have much of that. But when it does happen, it's usually because of photographers more or less than it is like, say, Gucci, for example, wanting to sell like the next outfit, whether it's male, female, or their next cologne, or their next, you know, shoes, or whatever the case may be. You know, they would be looking for specific models for that. But when it comes to those other things, photographers, you know, if you're looking for models to be able to go ahead and do photo shoots with, then you would need to negotiate as a client to SL Models and Talent Agency. There's been some photographers trying to say, like, I'm a professional photographer, and then would literally try to get us to actually buy into. And I was like, no, you're asking for our models. We don't do business that way. If you're looking for models, then you have to pay for the models that you're looking to do business with. But it also has to be real business. It cannot be just some made up thing or something that might have just been created out of the box somewhere. It's like a year ago. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I realized this, and this. Like I told you, when it comes to filming, the good thing about filming, especially like some of these folks that are doing Netflix series, I tell them the easiest way to do it is figure out what their salary would be for the year and then go from there. Typically what we would do is a buyout for, like, say, a lead role would be about $50,000-$60,000, and then they would take 10,000 of that and it would be used, or unless of course they're local, the 10,000 of that would be used for like their living expense, unless you are able to pay that and they have a room somewhere near the actual studio, you know, then it could be set up in a different way. So that's what I was talking about before on them levels. So there are different things that you could do. And the good news about SLMTA is that whether it's, well, for some modeling, we still do it, but for most of everybody else, we are basically, we had scratched out the whole entire, like forevermore agency fees. And the reason is because there are several reasons behind that. First of all, it's the union that is being developed that I'm developing, so I have to do my own protocol. Otherwise, it would be a conflict of interest on my own behalf. So, and I'm the role model for what I'm trying to do with everybody else. So there's that, and you want to make sure that that is persistent and consistent too. If you're a role model, if you're trying to do something and you meaning business and what you're trying to do, you need to be consistent and persistent about those details. And then of course, there are many other things in the process of that as well. So anyway, that is the end of our interactive show for tonight. I know that it was a lot of information all at once. And that is just an introduction, folks. And I've been with you for, I don't know, I probably want to say, well, according to this, 2 hours and 42 minutes. So it would have been about 2 hours and 45 minutes by the time I get off of here that I've actually been with you guys explaining, these details. We are definitely going to be changing some platform things again at some point. I'm trying to also see, do not be afraid if I message you, whether you're national or international, because we are looking for both experienced and non-experienced models, actors, singers, dancers, and whatnot. And we have a whole new program platform that's going to be set up, even for some of you that are waiting for that convention to happen, because I was convinced, and I think it's a very good idea, that for some of you that have been in training already with me, instead of paying all that other money again, which would probably, and it wouldn't been the case. But what we have decided to do is we would do the convention by itself, with maybe a few weeks prior to the convention, when that happens. But for new folks coming in, starting in June, you want to make sure as a inexperienced model or actor that when we do the consultation, that you are ready for being coached, getting the training, and doing what you need to do. For the experienced members, for you guys that have experience or you're gaining experience, what I want to do with you guys, especially singer-songwriters, is I want to expose you on live concerts via YouTube and Twitch. And then I want to recreate those videos so that you can put them for yourself onto the system. We are going to be opening Lions Potion and Productions LLC this week. So that's why I'm going to be starting that. Because what's going to happen with you guys that are singers and songwriters, what I plan to do is actually set up our own BMIS, CAPCSAS accounts or whatnot, so that you can just entrust the agency to be able to help you. We're going to develop our own ways of actual publicity for you. Put you on iHeartRadio, put you on Spotify, etc. And that's what we want to do. But understand that some of it does have a cost, but it's not halfway near the thousands and thousands of dollars that other places would want to be able to do that. We want to start where you are comfortable too. So, okay, if you're not comfortable with paying for professional production, like there was a rapist I was speaking with at one point, and I think that part of the issue was that there was, because I was talking a lot about training, and he might have thought that I meant him being trained. He's already got a YouTube and some exposure, and there's actual work that has been done. But all this whole entire time, those opportunities were being missed and still are, because of the fact being of the misunderstanding of fees. Now, the only fee that really would be associated with someone that has that, like where you have a YouTube channel, you already have some exposure, you're writing your music and all that, the only kind of fee that you would need then is the same ones that got you to the point where you were at then, which would actually be maybe a little bit more because you're talking about professionals at this point. And that is those who would have the masters. In other words, you would hire Lions Publishing and Productions to basically not own the rights to the music, but to be able to showcase your music wherever. All right. And then we would go ahead and work out a royalty program for that. Once we become big enough, which is going to take a little bit, then we would start actually paying you for the rights to actually, you know, if that was a possibility, for a length of time, not forever. See, this is the issue that was going on with somebody's record label, where they figured because they advanced you and that you got to pay it back by a certain length of time, they think that they own that record for the life of whenever, and that they own you for the rest of your life. But the reality is if you already have someone that has the masters, or you're looking for someone to be able to project your music and get you known out there, then what needs to actually happen is the agreement should be that for a length of time, whatever that length would be, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, then we actually have the permission directly from the artist to be able to publicize your music. Even if you have the masters owned by someone, you're given that authority, and usually the authority comes with a price. So it could be either something up front and or it could be royalty. Now, for us, we're getting things started, so we're really actually just asking for a 50-50 royalty is what we're doing. To keep it very simple, sweet, and easy. And actually, we will probably end up keeping it that way anyway. If anything, you would probably get a boost for yourself. But we don't want to do any more than what we cannot handle, and we don't want to do anything less that we can handle. So we're trying to figure out, right now we're setting everything up to see what we can handle, and what we can't handle, we're going to work into it. And then when that time comes, we'll let you know when it's launched. Okay. That's how you want to think in silence. You don't want to sit here and read your business plan out loud. You want to basically say, okay, because people will know your actual purpose and mission as long as everything is consistent with your company. Now, some people, they get the wrong picture. Like, I'm still dealing with that a little bit with the BBB. There are spots in there where I actually cannot change because it's legitimate. But then but I think it's the verbiage. So I was able to change it from, it's still internationally known. But I actually, now at this point, I actually have to write out who I'm internationally known with. And I've started adding like the conventions and stuff like that. So there's still more to come as far as all of that is concerned. But yes, it is a fun project that I'm doing. We're getting tomorrow I'm going to be sending out emails to get things ready for the voting polls. I'll be letting you know more about that because that is our competitions for the spring and summer. Spring fling extravaganza for the adults. We're going to have a young adult version, and we're going to have the adult version and the senior version, or what I call trendsetters. Okay. And then there will be the listen to me, the seniors part, which is 65 plus. All right. Because I want to give everybody an opportunity to be able to do this. I don't want it to be like, you know, the 55-year-old is just as important as the 25-year-old, or that a 70-year-old might actually woe me to heaven with such beautiful coloration of their music or dance or whatever that they may still have. So it kind of gives a variety, and it gives everybody a chance to get into that number one spot. Well, number 5 to number 1. Okay. Now the first 100 of you, I will tell you this up front. You will actually get a chance to be represented by SLMTA. Now, if you are experienced or a pro model and or talent, it would be non-exclusive. If you're non-experienced, it would be exclusive, but we would have to negotiate how long it would be. How long do you want the training to be? You know what I mean? Because I will tell you this much, only 5 out of each category are going to make it to the top 5, and only 1 is going to make it up to the top 1. And then we have what we call the universal ones as well. That's going to be done, it's called the universal talent. That is the actual number 1, and it could actually be in the United States or internationally. Now, if you do actually get voted in and win at the top 100, and you are not an experienced actor, model, singer, dancer, what have you, you're not distinctive in your country, we will have to work you into that category. You will still sign with us, but you would be working with one of the bigger agencies. That's why we're emailing the bigger agencies as well to alert them. Because we still want to give you that chance, okay? But they're going to have the connections in the other areas where you may be able to actually travel to, whereas some of you may not be able to travel freely to the United States as a whole. So that's how we're working that part out. And then I want to do the voting is going to be between Atlanta and in Midwest and Grand Rapids area. I'm going to be doing some press releases like for the main cities like New York, Chicago, Detroit, you know, major cities, Richmond, you know, places like that, where I'm going to be sending actual press releases. And then probably as this thing is going on and it grows momentum, we're going to actually appear on the news. And so then we would get some newscastings and calls and stuff like that. But there's a process, and we have to do one thing at a time, and that's where we're at right now. Pray without ceasing, like I said. So number one, think silently. Okay. Then you want to, after you're thinking silently and acting in positivity. Wow, I need to remember my own things. Then you're going to, then after that, then you're going to do the next step. Well, a lot of this I'm doing by memory anyway. Like I actually, all this stuff that I do speak about, I have one little cheat sheet. That's it. Everything is pretty much 100% memorized, in all honesty. But yeah, first thing, thinking silently and acting in positivity. Then after that, then you are going to be you're gonna wait with persistence. And then under waiting for persistence, with persistency, should I say, then you're going to be, then there are two other things under that, but are also in the list. Okay. And number three would be praying without ceasing. And number four, pivoting in action. So again, let's go through these one more time. Number one, thinking in silence with positive action. Then waiting in with persistence, praying without ceasing. And then finally for tonight, number four would be pivoting in action. And we hadn't really talked too much about pivoting in action. So we're gonna like recap and then go from there, because then our next three are gonna be very, very interesting. Like I said, in my book entitled A Journey Through Our Perception Change Reality Format, I discussed 20 tips, 20 steps, all in all, that are relative to creating a changed reality, creating a positive reality for the ultimate award. And that you want to not be stuck in your specific perception. Okay, so the ways to get out of the stuck perception, there are 4 tips that I shared thus far. 1, thinking silently and acting in positive, or acting with positivity, excuse me. Number 2, waiting with persistence. Number 3, praying without ceasing. And number 4, it would end up being pivoting in action. And so there we are, folks, for tonight. I will be back with you in the afternoon tomorrow to continue with steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. And I will tell you what they are tomorrow. And they some of them are actually very, very, very important. So be ready. Indeed. One more quick announcement, and then I'm going to go off the air. If you had not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. It is the gold icon with the red ring around it. And please hit the notification bell as well, because if you want to know when we are coming on live again, or that, like this mistake that has happened tonight where I popped on in the middle. I don't know what had happened there. I just started the show and forgot that I was not on YouTube yet. So I became live everywhere but YouTube. If you want to become a member of the SLMTA, well, actually, let me rephrase that. If you want to become a Patreon of the SLMTA community, you can do so for as low as $5 a month at www.patreon.com/SLMTA. You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/SLMTA. If you want to become a company corporate sponsor, we are accepting sponsorships at slmta-agency.square.site/SLMTA-sponsorships. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at models, plural, SL. So that would be models, SL. Instagram is models_SLMTA. And if you want to follow us on the website, it is www.slmta-agency.com for non-experienced models, actors, singers, etc. You can go to the Become a Model drop down, click on online application, and when you submit it, about 72 hours, I will communicate with you about when you can have a 20 to 30-minute consultation. We can schedule a time when to start your training and also do your auditions and interview. For those of you that are experienced models, actors, singers, etc., you can email me your reels, your videos, your portfolio, bio, resume to slmtagency@gmail.com. Again, that is slmtagency@gmail.com. And we look forward to serving all of you, whether you are a Patreon, a sponsor, building up your business. I got another project that I'm going to tell you about, but I'm not mentioning anything right now. I'm very well aware of that this one can actually get stolen from me, but it is a very good project that is going to do very big wonders. I'll just put it to you there. All right, and look forward to speaking with you guys tomorrow during prime time between 1 and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, have a blessed evening.